one of Hollywood's most powerful and recognizable actors, quietly makes a decision that sends shockwaves through the industry. No press conference, no social media announcement, not even a red carpet hint, just a government document. And buried inside it, a simple but explosive detail: George Clooney and his entire family are now French citizens. But this isn't just about a passport. This is an identity shift, a deliberate move away from the Hollywood machine that helped make him famous. So the real question is, was this an escape from Hollywood? A way to protect his children from paparazzi and constant scrutiny? Or is there something deeper happening behind the scenes? Because when someone who could still dominate the industry chooses a quieter, more private life instead, people start paying attention. And here's what makes this story even more intriguing. It didn't begin with a scandal. There was no public fallout, no controversy forcing his hand. It all started with one small government notice, and it left fans everywhere asking the same question. What is George Clooney really planning? The question wasn't just what he did, it was, why now? George Clooney made this move as he entered his 60s, a phase where many Hollywood stars start rethinking their priorities. At this stage, careers are secure, reputations are locked in, and the focus often shifts from fame to legacy. At the same time, his twins, Ella and Alexander, are growing up fast. These are critical years, the kind that shape who kids become for the rest of their lives. Where they live, how much attention they receive, and the environment around them all matter more than people realize. And in Hollywood, that pressure hits hardest when you have a famous last name. Cameras follow every move. Comparisons start early. Privacy becomes almost impossible. Even routine moments can turn into headlines. That's why some observers believe this wasn't a sudden decision at all. Reports and fan speculation suggest it may have been part of long-term planning, something the Clooneys quietly prepared for years, rather than a last-minute escape. And just as those questions started building online, George Clooney himself finally revealed the reason behind the move. The real question wasn't just what George Clooney did, it was why he chose this moment. Clooney made this move in his 60s, a stage of life when many Hollywood stars begin reassessing what actually matters. At that point, the career is secure, the fame is permanent, and the pressure to keep chasing spotlight starts to lose its appeal. At the same time, his children are reaching critical developmental years. These are the moments when environment, routine, and privacy shape who kids become. And for children of global celebrities, those years can be especially intense. Hollywood doesn't make that easy. The pressure is constant. Cameras follow every move. Even private family moments can turn into public conversations. And once that attention starts, it rarely slows down. That's why some observers believe this decision wasn't sudden at all. There's been quiet speculation that it was part of long-term planning, a carefully timed move designed to protect family life before the spotlight became unavoidable. And just as those questions began circulating, George Clooney himself finally explained what pushed him to make the decisions. France didn't just offer the Clooneys a quieter lifestyle, it offered legal protection. Unlike the United States, French privacy laws are strict, especially when it comes to children. Taking or publishing unauthorized photos of minors can carry serious consequences. That means no random paparazzi shots, no surprise photos outside schools, and no turning private family moments into headlines. In the U.S., celebrity privacy often depends on location and public space. In France, it's backed by law. And for parents raising young children, that difference changes everything. That protection allowed the Clooney kids to live a life that feels almost impossible in Hollywood. They attend normal activities. They eat dinner with adults. They're expected to participate in everyday routines instead of being glued to screens or cameras. Clooney himself pointed out how different their lives are. Less time on devices, more time being present. No constant filming, no pressure to perform, just childhood, the way it's supposed to be. And that's why France wasn't just a lifestyle upgrade. It became something much stronger, because France isn't only about peace and privacy, it's also a legal fortress, designed to keep it that way. The Clooneys didn't move into a gated celebrity compound or disappear behind walls and security teams. Instead, they settled into an 18th-century villa in southern France, surrounded by quiet countryside and small-town life. According to local reports, the family lives part-time near the town of Brignoles, an area where privacy comes naturally and celebrity culture barely exists. And that difference shows in how they're treated. The town's mayor described them as a simple and accessible family. Not distant, not untouchable, just neighbors. He even mentioned that George Clooney shops locally, walking through town like anyone else. No crowds, no chaos, no spectacle. Clooney has also been spotted attending everyday community events, including the opening of a local cinema. No flashing cameras, no viral moments, just someone showing up because they wanted to be there. It's a version of life that feels almost unimaginable for an A-list Hollywood star, blending in instead of standing out. But while the lifestyle looks effortless, the legal reality behind it is anything but simple. Because citizenship isn't handed out easily, especially not in France. France doesn't hand out citizenship just because someone is famous, and the Clooneys were no exception. According to the French Interior Ministry, the family went through a rigorous naturalization process. That includes detailed background reviews, formal interviews, and security checks designed to assess long-term intent and integration. It's not quick, and it's not automatic. Officials didn't publicly explain the exact reason the Clooneys qualified, but France does allow special pathways for individuals who are considered capable of providing what it calls important services to the nation. That category is intentionally broad, and it's where the conversation gets interesting. Amal Clooney isn't just a celebrity spouse. She's a globally respected human rights lawyer who has worked on high-profile international cases, advised governments, and represented victims in complex legal battles. Her work places her in diplomatic circles that extend far beyond entertainment. Because of that, some observers believe her global influence and legal reputation may have played a role in the approval process. It's important to note, there's no official confirmation of this. But in France, international contribution has historically mattered more than fame. Add to that the family's long-term presence, their property ownership, and their visible integration into local life, and the picture becomes clearer. This wasn't a temporary relocation. It looked permanent. And once the legal foundation was in place, the family dynamics behind the decision became even more important. While George Clooney jokes about still struggling with the language, the rest of his family has already fully adapted to life in France. Amal Clooney speaks fluent French, moving comfortably between legal work, public life, and everyday conversations. For her, the transition wasn't just practical, it was cultural. France wasn't a temporary stop. It became part of the family's identity. The twins, Ella and Alexander, adapted even faster. According to Clooney himself, they speak French naturally, the way kids do when they feel at home. No effort, no hesitation, just part of daily life. In one light-hearted interview with French broadcaster Canal+, Clooney joked that his wife and children sometimes speak French in front of him on purpose, just so they can say things he doesn't understand. It was a small moment, but a telling one. That joke revealed something important. This wasn't a family forcing themselves to fit in. They were already rooted, already comfortable, already living the life many people move years to achieve. And that's where a bigger question starts to form. Because when a family integrates this deeply, it usually means they're not planning to leave. If because this move wasn't just strategic, It was deeply personality. So the question many fans are quietly asking is this: is George Clooney slowly stepping away from Hollywood? On paper, he hasn't announced any retirement. He's still working, still producing, still choosing projects carefully, but the pattern around him has clearly changed. In recent interviews, Clooney has referred to the family's farm in France as their primary residence. That single phrase stood out. Not a vacation home, not a second base, a primary home. And in Hollywood, words like that are rarely accidental. His recent career choices also suggest a shift. Fewer appearances, more selective roles, less interest in the constant promotional cycle that once defined A-list stardom. It feels intentional, not like someone being pushed out, but someone stepping back on his own terms. Some fans believe this could be the beginning of a soft exit from Hollywood. Not a dramatic goodbye, not a headline-grabbing announcement, just a gradual fade from the spotlight while maintaining creative control behind the scenes. It's important to say, none of this has been officially confirmed. Clooney hasn't said he's leaving the industry, but the timing, the location, and the lifestyle all point in the same direction. And when one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces starts choosing distance over attention, it usually means priorities have shifted, which leads to another lingering question. What does this move mean for his ties to the United States? Because that part of the story is still unclear. One detail the public quickly noticed was what wasn't said. There's been no official confirmation about whether George Clooney gave up his U.S. citizenship. No statement from his representatives, no clarification from French officials. Just silence. Legally, it's possible to hold dual citizenship, and many people do. France allows it. And the United States generally doesn't require citizens to renounce their nationality when they become citizens elsewhere. But without confirmation, that ambiguity has only fueled curiosity. Some fans assume he kept his American citizenship. Others wonder if this move signals a deeper separation from the country where his career was built. For now, the truth is simple. No one outside the family knows for sure. And sometimes, in stories like this, what's left unsaid becomes the most revealing part of all. There was no scandal, no public fallout, no dramatic announcement, just a quiet decision. In an industry where exits are usually loud, messy, and emotional, George Clooney chose something different. He didn't disappear overnight. He didn't burn bridges. He simply stepped back, intentionally, carefully, and on his own terms. This wasn't about rejecting Hollywood. It was about redefining success, choosing family over fame, privacy over applause, and normal life over non-stop attention. For decades, Clooney represented the dream, the face of global stardom. And yet, his most powerful move didn't happen on screen. It happened away from cameras, headlines, and red carpets. Because in the end, maybe true success isn't about having everything. It's about knowing when you've had enough. Hollywood teaches you how to gain it all. But walking away with peace? That's rare.